Welcome back to Stay Lit, the show where we don't just talk purpose, we ignite it. Today's guest is living proof that there's no expiration date on dreams. While the world may try to box you in based on age, Felicia is here to break the mold, speak life into possibility, and remind us that your voice is your power. With wisdom that inspires both seasoned souls and the next generation, she's on a mission to make sure no one ever says, "What if?" Because the only limits are the ones you accept. Whether you're just getting started or starting over, today's conversation is your reminder that it's never too late to shine. Please welcome the phenomenal Felicia to Stay Lit. Thank you so much for being a part of Stay Lit, Felicia. I'm so excited to get into just getting to know you a little bit more, giving you a platform to share your story that will be inspiring and motivating for others. But before we get into the nitty gritty of who Felicia is, I just want to start out with a icebreaker first. And so you're going to just pick a card. Let me shuffle them up. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. No complaints.
Awesome. You look good. So I hope
Thank
you do
you.
feel good.
Appreciate that.
And because you're a guest, you're going to go ahead and read your card first, and then you'll answer, and then I will go.
What's something you think people tend to assume about you when you meet when they meet you for the first time? Everybody thinks that I'm mean. Everybody, because my expression says, "Oh my God, I give you $5 if you just smile." Or you having a bad day? I'm like, no, that's just my expression.
Yes.
But no, I'm the sweetest person ever. You get to know me. When I say I have your back, you can take that to the bank.
Okay, awesome. I love that. I would say my first impression was she just don't play. She means business. Not that you were mean, it's just that she here. It's I feel like as a model, sometimes we have this like in our zone type of moment. So depending on where you've caught me, it may get off that I mean, but it's more so I'm focused. I'm just present in the moment. So I get where you coming from. I get where you coming from. And so my question is, what's a question you wish you could get an answer for? Okay. I think the question that I wish I could get an answer for is, as an entrepreneur, when will be the moment that I can enjoy the fruits of my labor? Or will it always be go, 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 build, build, build? I think that's the question of just like, how do you know when it's a good time to like stop and enjoy and not focus so much on like what's next?
When you stop losing sleep at night.
Listen, I feel like I lose sleep at night for 4 months, and it's not gonna stop. But I think that's just the question of just um knowing when is it a good time to just enjoy. But I think that's kind of like a double-sided question because I think as an entrepreneur, you have to create space to be able to do that. And so searching for the answer could be more complicated than what it should be if you don't create space to see that. But thank you so much for participating in our icebreakers.
Yes, that was fun.
And now I just really want you to share with the audience about who Felicia is and a little bit about who you are, what it is that you do, and what you want viewers to know.
I am Felicia Ellis. I am 53 years old. I am stamped by an age, but I have the mindset and the body as for its energy as a 19, 20-year-old.
Awesome.
I am a professional runway model. I'm an actor. I have many belts. I'm a traveling loan officer. I am a designer. So you can't lose me anywhere.
Yes, creator's eyes. I love that. And it seems as though those are all areas that are connected in some shape or form, just in different positions in the fashion world, or in the industry when it comes to being a creator. And I love that you are able to experience those different sides because I'm sure each one of them brings a different side out of you and also is fulfilling in different areas. So that's new. I learned that you're a designer. That's cool. Awesome. I love when I get to learn.
Just a home interior.
Yes. I love interior design. I feel like it's just to be able to see like a blank room and be like, oh yes, I could do this, I could do that, and just to see the full vision.
Yes.
Kudos to you,
Yes.
because it takes a lot of intentionality behind it. And I really love when people have a blank canvas and they can just make it into art, no matter if it's actual art with painting or drawing, or even as models and designing clothes. But into your design, just making a space come to life, that's
goes back
so much fun.
Modeling. All of that rolls into one.
Yes.
Because as being a loan officer, you get to dress.
Mm-hmm.
So you show your personality.
Yes.
When you're doing your home interior, that's also a model, because not only are you dressing, you're showing it through your design.
Mm-hmm.
So it all rolls up.
Yes, and they all have connection.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. And so, how, with your age, like you said, you feel as though sometimes you're stamped with your age, but how do you navigate that space when people try to put you in a box due to your age?
Navigation all comes with me as knowing who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So when I know who I am and what I bring, at first it was hurting.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm like, as long as you can deliver,
Yes,
what do the age have to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
But and then I had to go back and reflect. It's a lot of young people that are doing shows now,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't want the older people in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to look at it as like, okay, you have to target certain castings, because every casting is not going to be for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I go home, revamp, practice. Okay, this is what I'm going to bring to the next.
Yes, I love that. I love that you create space for reflection and restoration in regards to just because it was rejection in the moment, how can I redirect it and shift my energy in elsewhere instead of putting myself in the place to where I keep getting slapped in the face over and over again. And I think that's so important as a model, as you're learning your niche and what market is for you. Because I sell models all the time, everyone has a market, everyone has a place in the industry. You just have to find it and not put yourself in the position to get disappointed. Right. It's like going to a casting call for males and you're a female and you're like, why did you pick me? Well, this wasn't the market for you. And you know, sometimes I feel like as models, we do have to put ourselves in the position to kind of push limits and to kind of challenge the narrative that the industry may have in regards to you have to look a certain way, you have to have a certain height, you have to be a certain way, certain measurements, or a certain ethnicity. And so I think it's good to do that because, like I often say, is that sometimes they may not know what they need until they see it.
Right.
However, you don't want to keep, that shouldn't be like your only way of trying to get in the door. It's kind of trying to push yourself through the cracks rather than like, hey, I see that if it doesn't have a lot of requirements or specifics, okay, of course I'm gonna show up. But if they do have specific requirements and then you're kind of disappointed, so like you already kind of knew what they were looking for to begin with. But definitely there is a lot of brands and designers that are looking for older models because I often say is that if that's who their clients and customers are, then that's what their models need to represent as well. Because if I'm an older lady and I'm shopping and I see everybody in their 20s wearing these clothes, I'm like, well, can I wear it really? Because I'm not 20. My body may not feel, even if people's body looks that way, does it really feel? Do they feel that way to where they feel confident enough to embrace those clothing? And so I'm glad that you created space to be like, I tried it. At least I put myself out there. You didn't allow fear to take away that space. But let me also try another way that could be more effective. I love that. I love that. And so has anyone specifically ever told you you're too old?
The casting didn't, but one of the girls that actually worked with the casting, she knew me from another show. So she told me on the slide, like, yeah, I made the cut, but then a younger person came in at the end and they cut me and put her in. So yeah.
And how did that make you feel in the moment?
I was crushed. I was hurt because I spent 3 hours there at that casting. It wasn't a casting that you go in and out. I would have been okay with it. But it was so intense. Yes. So to find out in the end that I didn't make it, and everybody in there was like, what? She did? How did it? But again, I sucked it up.
Yeah.
I was in my feelings for a minute,
Yeah.
but I sucked it up and say, hey, everything is not for you.
Mm-hmm.
What God has for you is going to be for you.
you.
It's the reason for that.
Absolutely. And you turn it into a learning moment. And that's so beautiful because moments like that, people will stop.
Yes.
And they will allow that to really weigh heavy on them and dictate the decisions that they make moving forward. So I'm glad that, and you didn't, you faced it and you went through those emotions instead of trying to avoid them or be delusional that you had them. You created space to feel them and you processed them in the time frame that you needed to. And you can move forward. Yes. That is so beautiful. And that just to go show that you're in modeling for the right reasons. And I feel like as models, it's important that we always know our why. Because our why will always keep us going and remind us of when we do get a no of, I'm not in it for that anyways. I'm in it for me, and this is how it's fulfilling. And I can still have the manpower and the strength to continue to move forward. Absolutely. I really, really love that. And so as a model that is for in the older market, and then the model where they call them mature, the mature models. And so I'm sure that you have experienced a lot of moments where you felt stuck or where you feel like, maybe I'm losing hope or feel like maybe I should shift. What would you tell someone who feels stuck or scared to try something new later in life? Because I actually meet a lot of models who said, I've always wanted to do it, but now that I don't have kids and now I have grandkids and all my kids are grown, I want to give it a try. But they are fearful of their age. What advice would you give them?
I would tell them, how would you know if you never do it?
Yes.
I tell people all the time because I get that too. Age is just a stamp of when you was born. It does not define who you are. You say, I can do it, be disciplined, and go out for it. You might even cast for the first one. Who knows? But you'll never know if you don't ever do it.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And like you said, just do it. The worst that people can say is no.
Yes.
And then if they say no, thank you for your time and try again.
Yes.
And you may not get a yes until the sixth time, but you're learning each time you go to a casting. I say that my favorite thing when I go to a casting is I love watching other people's walk. I love just to see how unique everybody is and just how they embrace the confidence. And it's just a fulfilling space to be in, to see the work that people do behind the scenes and just to take up space. And so I think that it's great that you say just to have fun and make it your passion, and that would be the driving force along your journey. If you're going into it of like with this idea that you're gonna make a lot of money, then you will get discouraged when you get a no and a no and a no and a no. And you're just like, it's not for me. It's because you went into it with the wrong reason.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely. And so, when did you know that, what age did you start to do modeling more on a consistent basis? Did you start when you were young, then you kind of took a break and then got back into it?
I started and the only reason why I started modeling was because, I don't know if I need to say that on TV, but my 10th grade teacher, she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. I had low self-esteem because of issues, and she took me up under her wing and she said, you have what it takes to model.
Oh, I love that.
And I was like, no. And she was like, yes. So she put me in my first show and I wouldn't come off behind the person. But after that, she coached me and she instilled in me that I am beautiful.
Yeah.
I can do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
And from that point, I pushed forward. Then I got married. And then it was like, oh, you're going to meet somebody and you're going to leave me. So I stopped. And then I came back into it at 51. And it's just the world took me right in like I had never left.
Yeah. And that's one thing I can say is that if you ever take a break in modeling and go back to it, it's like you never left.
Yes.
It's you naturally just pop in, and once you're a part of it, you just, oftentimes people always ask, how do I get started as a model? And I always tell them, once you get in a groove, things just start to attract, and you just start to build a community, and you just kind of naturally adapt into it. But you do have to be intentional behind it for it to attract the things that you're looking for. And so I really love that you shared about your experience. If someone saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself, you created space for that. And so after the break, I would love to kind of dig a little bit more into how did that moment not only drive confidence in yourself as a model, but just who Felicia is as a person and how you navigate life now. See y'all after the break. So, welcome back, y'all. And we are going to continue on hearing Felicia's story and just hearing about her experiences and how it has shaped her role in just becoming the woman that she is, embracing who she is, and owning the confidence that she has instilled within herself. And I'm so happy to hear that she had someone during her younger age that was able to see something in her that she didn't see. And she allowed that moment to be the blueprint of who she became as a woman as she continued to go through life. And so I'm sure, as everyone always experienced, that we have people that try to dim our light, and they just can't handle what we bring into a space. And so they try to suck up all the air that we try to give them, right? We try to give people life by just our presence. And so have you ever had to reclaim your voice after someone tried to silence or shrink you?
Yes. I was signed to this agency, and she loved everything about me. She sought me out. But then in the end, it was like we had went to New York, and we had met with all of the big model agencies down there. And she was like, I need for you to figure out what you're going to do. You need to move to New York, and you need to do this, and you need to change your hair color, and you need to do. And I was like, hold on. I was like, you sought me out.
The way I am.
You loved everything about me. Now, all of a sudden, it's the problem. And we had to take acting classes also. So during one of our final acting class, I got a standing ovation. I don't know what was going on with her that day, but she talked so bad about me. Her assistant, Miss Wendy McKinsley, I don't know if you know her. She's one of the top acting coaches in New York. And she was like, no, she did awesome. She was standing over. She said, no. And she just went off. And I was like, you know what? I don't want to go back to the person I fought so hard to not be again. I said, so I'm going to end the conversation, and I'm going to fire you at that.
Right.
So because she told me I couldn't act, I went and casted for this show that is coming out called Plead, and made the lead.
Wow, I love that. And like I said, it looks like you have a pattern of not allowing people to take away your light or to define who you are as a person based off of their own personal opinions, and using that as motivation to keep going and to continue to embrace who you are and not change it. And I think as models, if they don't know who they are, and if they don't know what their passion is, it is very, very easy to be put in those positions where, oh, you need to change. Okay, I'm gonna change my hair color. Oh, you need to lose some weight. Okay, to be able to conform into an idea of what this one person believes is the standard, or believes that they want you to look a specific way. But like you said, just because I don't look the way that you want me to look doesn't mean that someone else won't accept that, or someone else may like my look. And so that's why I always, always, always preach to models is that if you don't want to change something about yourself, and I don't care how much money they're throwing at you or this idea that they're throwing at you, you don't have to do that.
Exactly.
There is nothing that you have to do or change yourself as a model. They should accept you for who you are as a person and work with that. Especially, like you said, if you scouted me based off what I was, not what you could turn me into.
Right.
Now, granted, sometimes you may have a gig, and if it's like a hair show or something like that, you're willing to cut your hair. Like, that's different. But I've also kind of experienced that in the industry. They're like, I love you. You have a great look. And they're like, well, can you put a wig on? And I'm like, No, I don't want to put a wig on. That like takes away. There's a reason why I'm bald head for a reason.
Yes.
And they're trying to give me more of a commercial look, and to me, I see it as whitewash. Like
Right.
you want me to embrace this whitewash commercial look that you think models should have, but most importantly, if you didn't know that I get more bookings because of my look, and it doesn't look as more uniformal and consistent than other people. And so it is very common. It is especially with that's why they kind of also like younger models.
Yeah.
And it's because they know that they can be easily to manipulate. They're easy to sell a dream. They really don't know who they are as a person yet. They're still trying to figure it out, so they're easily influenced. And they like them. I've always wondered, because starting out in the industry, they always ask, how old are you?
Yes.
And I think they want to know how old you are to see how much life have you experienced. And they're also, especially in the New York market, they strive to get high schoolers straight out of high school, to get them young and because they know that they're like, yes, I want to be a model in New York, and like this is what it takes. Okay, because they haven't experienced life. So where we're more seasoned.
Right.
We've experienced people. We know what it feels like to be able to change ourselves, because everyone has experienced that, where like, okay, you want to be fit in, you want to be accepted, and then you're like, but I'm losing myself, and you know who you are as a person, so it's a little bit more difficult to do that.
Yeah. And the key thing is never lose yourself, because they can tell you to do this and do that. And if you become all of these different people, then who are you in the end? So now you've lost yourself because you don't know which way to go, because they're bringing you from person to person. That goes back to loving yourself and knowing your value and knowing what you bring to the table.
Yes, absolutely. And loving yourself takes time, and you have to be intentional. You have to be strategic in that, and that's where your confidence is going to come from. I often tell times as a model coach that I can teach you how to pose, I can teach you the fundamentals, I can teach you about the industry, but I cannot instill in you the confidence that you need to execute that. I can give you strategies to be able to build the confidence, but you still have to maintain it. But most importantly, you have to really feel it. You really have to know that it's true. You standing in the mirror and saying that you're beautiful over and over again, but if you do not believe it yourself, it doesn't matter how many times you say it yourself. It doesn't matter how many times I tell you. It's still just going. You're still going to have that wall up, and it's just going to bounce right off of you. And so, as a model, for anybody that is watching, just even as a person outside of modeling, everyone needs confidence. Everyone needs to know who they are. Everyone needs to love themselves. Do the work. So that way you're never put in the position where you conform to other people's standards and personal opinions to where you lose yourself. And like you said, you've turned into so many different people. And when someone asks you, tell me about yourself, and you can't because you've been so many different people and you haven't really took the time to think, oh, wow, like oftentimes I do get that from people, is that if someone says, tell me about yourself, and it takes you some time, that goes to show there's some work that needs to be done. There's some work that needs to be done. And so you talk about not letting others speak over your life and allowing them to perform you. Can you share a time when you had to reject the limiting belief that someone tried to put on you?
Yeah, you get a lot of people who, some can be intimidated, some of them can be jealous, some of them just don't have your good interest in heart. So they'll tell you what you can do. They'll tell you what you don't look like. They'll give you everything that is not uplifting to play with your mind. So when I say don't speak over my life, meaning you can't tell me I can't act. You can't tell me I can't model. I love challenges. And that comes back in the conversation we just had with confidence. So when I walk into a room, people gonna automatically look because I demand that. You see what I'm saying? Because I know who I am. So when somebody say, oh, you're going to end up being this here, well, you can't speak over my life because now I'm going to show you that's not who I am.
Absolutely. And even if people have this idea that you think I can't model, I think there's a difference between there's areas that you can work on to become better and then limiting me to that I can't do something. And so feedback is okay. That's not you you telling me feedback is you telling me that I have the ability to do it.
Yes.
And that if I do the feedback or work on whatever it is that you say that I need to work on, then I can be in a better position. There's a difference between that and saying you can't do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And so even as a model coach, I don't think I've ever or will ever tell anyone you can't be a model.
Yeah, that's not good.
Because who am I to tell you that you can't be a model?
Right.
And what I may say is, this isn't the niche for you, but this is what your niche can be. So that's me helping you, guide you into the right direction, but not saying there is no room for you at all as a model. And I think that a lot of times in the industry, people do that. People say, what are you here for? You can't do this. You can't do that. Instead of finding the light in them and helping them, even if they may not see it themselves. But how are you committed to helping someone bring it out of them? And I think that's why, as a coach, and even as a business person and entrepreneur, I have never operated from a place of money. I operate from a place of passion.
Yes.
Because if I'm passionate, I'm patient. If I'm patient, I'm strategic. If I'm strategic, I'm intentional. And it allows that other person to feel more safe with me, rather than saying, okay, you got to give me $1,000. And I never even had hope or saw the vision or seen the light in you to do the work to help you bring it out. Because as a trauma therapist, as a coach, people that I work on an interpersonal level, you have to be able to, everything I do is seeing something in them that they didn't see themselves.
Right.
And that is my goal at the end of the day. Even if you don't become a professional model, even if you don't take things seriously, but if you walk away from my space as a therapy client or as a model, I want you to be like, wow, I never thought I could do that. Or wow, I never saw myself in that way. Or most importantly, I feel more confident.
Right.
Because that, in any space that you take on outside of the space that you came in, you can utilize that as a person. My goal is to work holistically as a person rather than just individually. So that's good. I'm glad that you were able to use that as motivation of what people try to speak over you. And that's a good way to weed people out of being a part of who you should work with and who you shouldn't work with. If you get into a meeting with the agency and they say, oh, I don't think that you can do X, Y, and Z, and they use that as a tactic to say, if you pay thousands of dollars to do all of these things, then we can see it.
But that's still a possibility. It's not.
Right. I think, that's why it's very important to do your research on who you work with. And people can't guarantee you anything. If you go into an agency and they say, oh, we can guarantee you can make $500,000 within the next 6 months, because our clients, no, you can't. You can't. As an agency casting agent myself, I can never guarantee anybody a job.
Right.
Because I submit you, but I don't tell them who to pick.
Right.
That is their job to do that. And so, y'all, do y'all research.
Please do.
Do your research. But most importantly, before you even put yourself in the position to do your research, do your research on yourself. Know who you are as a person. And so as we close out, what's one thing you want everyone watching this episode to remember when it comes to chasing your dream at any age and doing the work to be confident on the space that you're in?
I would tell anybody, whatever you choose to do, whatever your heart desires, don't ever, ever, ever give up. You would never know if you don't ever try.
Yes.
At 53, and as many shows that I've done, I'm still practicing. I will walk from my bedroom to my kitchen. I'll be like, oh my God, that was a good move. Oh, I'm going to use that at the. So I'm always practicing. Even though I have made it to a certain level, I'm always practicing. So I tell people, be disciplined in whatever you want to do. Because once you're disciplined, everything is going to fall in line. You're going to have that passion. And it's not going to only be something that you want to do. It's going to be something that is going to become you.
Yes, absolutely. I really love that you said it's a lifestyle. It's not something that once you put the work in, it just naturally becomes a part of who you are as a person. But like you said, never stop learning.
Mhm.
Never stop learning who you are. Never stop developing the skill. Never stop learning about the industry, no matter what industry that you're in. Continue just to be even if you are a teacher, because oftentimes I still am learning. I am still figuring out new ways to coach people, and keep them adaptable to where they're going in the industry and what their niches are. And so no matter what age, your skill or talent, continue to do the work. And that's where discipline comes into play.
Yes.
That's where discipline comes into play. Well, it's definitely been a pleasure getting to know you, Felicia.
Yes.
And your story is so empowering, and I hope you all were able to take something from this, no matter what age that you are, model or not, just as a person, that you should stay committed to whatever it is that your dream and passion is. And don't ever let anyone's opinions or thoughts to define your value or define your abilities of what you can't do. You are the only dictator that can make the decision in knowing what it is that you want to do. You stop you. You make the decisions.
Yes.
And the people that see the value within yourself will support that and will encourage you to go along the way. And if they don't, again, ask them, who are they to tell you what you can or can't do? Felicia, thank you for reminding us that the timeline we've been told to follow is a lie, and that we can begin again at any moment. Your story is a wake-up call to every listener who's ever doubted if it's too late. Your courage, your voice, and your wisdom are lighting the way. To our viewers, let today be the day you stop asking what if and start saying, why not me? Keep speaking life, keep showing up for yourself, and no matter what stage of life you're in, stay lit. Thanks for being a guest.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
See you next time.